Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm Tami Stackelhaus, fibromyalgia coach, author, and founder of the International Fibromyalgia Coaching Institute. The goal of this podcast is to empower you with access to the dream team of experts and coaches I've discovered are key to living the fibro life you love. From the comfort of your own home, and maybe even your pajamas, I'll help you take back control of your life and health. To help out with FibroFog, I always include full show notes and additional resources at fibromyalgiapodcast.com. You're listening to the Fibromyalgia Podcast with Tami Stackelhaus, episode 38. Welcome to the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhaus, and today I can't wait to introduce you to my friend Liz, the founder of the Recovery Love Box. This is a subscription box designed specifically for those of us with a chronic illness by someone with a chronic illness. Another thing to make note of is after my interview with Liz, make sure that you stay tuned. I received my own box yesterday, and so I do an unboxing at the end after my interview with Liz. So those of you who are listening, I do try to describe in audio as best I can, but you can also watch the unboxing video on the show notes page for today's podcast. So just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/38. You'll see today's show notes and you'll see that unboxing video on there as well. Before we get into my interview with Liz, we have this week's listener shout out. And this is actually from Joanne. She says, "Thanks for all your time and knowledge. I don't feel so alone after listening to your podcasts." Thanks so much, Joanne. It was a pleasure to talk with you the other day too. Joanne and I had a conversation. She had scheduled a consultation. And for those of you who are listening, if you ever do want to talk about your own unique situation, we would love to schedule a consultation for you with me or with one of my coaches. There's lots of us that can help. We would love to talk to you about your own situation and the things that you can do to help feel better faster. All right, so let's get into my interview with Liz. Let me tell you a little bit about Liz. Liz Lajoie is the author of 2 money books. It is From Zero to Zen and the Zen Money Map. She has created this awesome way of looking at money from a way that is, it reminds me a lot of what I teach you guys about your fibromyalgia and taking care of your fibromyalgia and going at it from a place of grace and compassion and gentleness. And she does the same thing for your finances, particularly for business finances. You might wonder what that has to do with a chronic box subscription service. And the answer is Liz was actually diagnosed with chronic Lyme back in 2012, I believe. So she's been living her own chronic illness journey. She talks about that in her interview with me about how she was having a particularly bad day. She was in a Lyme flare-up, and she thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be awesome if like a box of goodies could magically appear on my porch right now? So she decided to start that. She's actually doing this business with her daughter. She talks about that in the interview as well. And just sending those of us who have chronic illnesses, sending us love monthly in a box of goodies. So listen in to my interview with Liz. You can find out how the Chronic Love Box, Recovery Love Box came to be. I'll find out a little bit more about her story, talk about what's in a typical box. We also have a special discount code. So if you are interested in purchasing a box for yourself, purchasing a subscription for someone you love, these are awesome gifts, then you can use this discount code to to place your order. So listen into the interview with Liz. You'll hear that towards the end. We'll also have the discount code for you on the show notes page. That's fibromyalgiapodcast.com/38. We'll also have all the ways where you can connect with Liz and with Recovery Love Box to see all the fun things that they have to offer. So enjoy my interview with Liz, and then stay tuned after that for the unboxing of the most recent box that I received yesterday. Enjoy. All right, Liz, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad we get to talk today.
I know. I'm excited to chat about this with you.
Awesome. So I just introduced you officially, but where I would love to start for people, because I think it's relevant to how Chronic Love Box came about, is just to tell a little bit of your own personal chronic illness story, because you're no stranger to what we deal with.
No, no. And it was the first thing that you and I connected over, I think,
Right,
actually.
right. I think
We're
so.
like, oh, we're in a room with normal people. Now we can talk to each other.
Yep.
Yeah, we are. So at this recording, it is May 2020. So I am about 7.5 years into a chronic Lyme journey. And it took about 3.5 years for my actual diagnosis. I kind of fell backwards into that diagnosis after going down a massive healthcare rabbit hole because, it just wasn't missed during the initial onset. So I never had antibiotic treatment and, you know, 2 MRIs and a spinal tap and multiple, emergency room journeys to main med later. And they were like, well, we don't really know. We're going to call it fibromyalgia and put you on some Balta and good luck to you. And that just didn't quite feel right.
So many of you with chronic Lyme end up with a fibromyalgia diagnosis first. That's so common.
There's so much overlap there, and I think it's such an interestingly mysterious, murky space. But so for me personally, I was, had become a partner in a local engineering firm. I was one credit away from finishing my MBA while working full time, while being a mom of, 2 kids under the age of 3. And I stressed out my adrenals. Everything just completely fell apart. And, I kind of think the Lyme bacterial overload was just the catalyst. My system was already tanked, and it was just sort of the perfect storm of, okay, we're gonna force you into kind of a different version of yourself here. So I spent a good chunk of time trying to kind of claw myself back to quote unquote normal. And I went down, as I said, the rabbit hole in terms of alternative stuff. And I started messing with my diet, and I started doing yoga, and I started just trying to figure out how to feel a little bit better, get some more energy back, try to understand these ups and downs, because I would, like start to feel better. I'm like, great, my life is back. And then I would overdo it and I would tank. And it was just this roller coaster. And so, I went to see a functional medicine doc, locally here in town. And she was the first one to basically be like, your adrenals are totally screwed up. We need to start there. I did some gut testing and gut work with her. And, because that was all kinds of messed up too. So, like I said, it ended up being 3.5 years until I ended up with an actual Lyme diagnosis, because over those years, my hormonal system, my whole axis was completely shot hormonally as well as everything else. And so I went to somebody, again, like everybody, we're seeing all these specialists and nobody's able to look at kind of the bigger picture. And so this one person I was talking to from a hormonal standpoint, because I was at the point where, this is hard to say out loud, but I think many people have been in the situation, but like I would be at a certain point in my cycle where I was either absolutely sure that I needed to just abandon my family, because otherwise I was going to kill my kids. Massive, massive raging, just no control over anything. And it's scary. So I went to see somebody and she was like, well, this is great, but I would like you to consider doing the non-traditional Lyme testing. And, it's $500 out of pocket, but I just want to rule that out before we go down this path of hormones. Because if it's something else, then this is a bigger thing than what I can help you with. And so we did that and it came back positive.
Were you surprised? Did that shock you?
No, I grew up in northern Minnesota. There were ticks everywhere. Like, I don't know. I didn't have a bite. I didn't have the bullseye. I might have picked it up like the summer of 2012, but I also may have been living with the bacteria in my system in stasis. And then I was just pushing too hard. And when my body finally crapped out, it was like, whoo, opportunity, because Lyme is a very opportunistic bacteria. So it's been a really interesting learning process for sure. And luckily I've managed to put myself, in the hands of functional medicine docs who know what they're doing. We've taken a very holistic approach to it. I never went on antibiotics because at that point it was too late, to really do anything effective other than mess with my digestive system again. So it's been up and down, but we're mostly up, I think, probably over the last few years. So yeah, it's the roller coaster that we all live. There's Epstein-Barr in there, all kinds of fun stuff.
Right, right. And not the quick, easy answers, right? Like it's been a 7-year journey and you are starting to get better, but it was 7 years, not 7 weeks or 7 months or 7 days.
I don't know if you feel this way or if you hear it from your people as well, but I think it does something to your psyche when something is that long lived, because you lose that ability to think that there's a quick fix. So you don't trust anything, to a certain extent.
Yeah, totally. I find that most of us completely overestimate what we can accomplish in the short term, right? Like we think we can fix it in a couple of months, right? But we totally underestimate what we can do over time. And so we sort of end up with this thought process that's like I'm looking for a magic bullet or I'll just never get better. Like that, like we're so black and white about that. And it's like, no, you can get better, but no, there's not a magic bullet either.
It's amazing. I
um,
think I think we're hardwired as humans around all of this, which makes chronic and long-term illness such a bear, because you're absolutely right. We want to be able to, and we're also, inoculated around there is a quick fix, there must be a pill, like all of that, from a medical standpoint in the United States in particular. But I think it's an interesting thing because the human mind has a really hard time being like, I'm doing this today for my future self 10 years from now.
right.
It's just too long to be able to really wrap your brain around, I think. So I try to be smaller about it.
Right, right. And that the little things that we do now add up over time and can make a big difference. That's another one that's really hard to wrap your brain around. Yes, it does matter if you eat that one thing today.
Yeah, any sugars, alcohols, anything that you're like, what does it matter? It doesn't in this moment, but it's going to add up and pretty quickly too.
Right, right. Which brings us to chronic love box. And so, living in these last 7 years with all of this, I know the story, but I'd love for you to share with the listeners how this idea came to be. This idea of a subscription, a box subscription, specifically for people with chronic illness.
I was having a downturn. I'm coming off of a several months, Epstein-Barr kick my ass kind of situation, and I was lying in bed feeling miserable and just being irritated with life in general several months ago, well, beginning of this year, and I was just like, I just wish I didn't have to like go find stuff to eat, to feel better about. Like, I don't want to have to go to the store. My husband doesn't really know which thing to get, even though I've told him a million times. Like, I just was exhausted and was kind of in that, like, wouldn't it be nice, you know, if a little care package just magically appeared and I didn't have to do anything for it? It was this pie in the sky, like, I want a fairy godmother who can just drop goodies on my doorstep that, are healthy and aren't going to like throw me into a spiral, aren't going to flare, all that kind of stuff. And and I come from, as you know, a very entrepreneurial minded background with my family. I have my own business that I'm still working, amongst all of this, which came out of the fact that I couldn't work my 9 to 5. I got to a certain point where I was like, this is just not feasible. I need something I can do from home. So, um, so I was talking about this to my daughter, and it just kind of snowballed. And we were like, well, if that sounds good to us, I'm guessing it sounds good to other people out there too. And as you know, when once you start down the road chronically, when you first get a diagnosis, people come out of the woodwork with sympathy and love and, packages. And it's not just about the stuff, but, it's nice to be thought of. And then it kind of fades over time because, people very much get uncomfortable having to hear this stuff over and over. And I know, I mean, in the fiber world, it's true too, where you kind of feel like you become very clear on, who are your true supporters and who are not, just in terms of whether they're able to kind of continue that conversation with you and that journey with you without you having to hide, where you're actually at physically. Because people, I think they get uncomfortable and they don't know what to say. And after having said, I'm so sorry so many times, and we don't want to be the victims either, it gets old. So, what I've found since we kicked this off is that interestingly enough, we have a lot of people from a clientele standpoint who are actually purchasing recovery love boxes because we have individual boxes for with particular intentions and particular ideas in mind, and then we have our monthly chronic box, which is new interesting goodies every month delivered to your door. And with our individual boxes especially, a lot of our consumers are gifting them, so it's become a really nice way to continue that I am still thinking about you, friend of mine who's dealing with a long-term illness. I don't know what to, I didn't know what to get you, but here's this thing that's been put together for you by somebody who understands what chronic illness is all about. So that's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's I totally agree with you. Like those moments where you most need something are usually the moments that you can't do it for yourself. And like you said, like I've had fibromyalgia since I think I was diagnosed in 2007, so it's been 13 years now. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff my husband gets, but there's also like okay, I want this thing, I want peanut butter, but it can't just be any old peanut butter. It needs to be this specific one that doesn't have this ingredient, like, and you just hate giving all of that.
Oh no. Well, and what we're putting in our bodies, I think, I don't know if you're like this, but my husband is always like, I don't know what you're eating now. Like I feel like you change all the time because you keep trying, like sometimes you're super clean and there's no dairy and there's no sugar and there's no nothing, it's only vegetables and lean meats. And then sometimes you're eating cheese and I just don't know from day to day. And I'm like, I get that this is a pain in the ass for you. I get that it doesn't make sense. And I think you're right. Like it's nice because when you're feeling lowest, you do not have the energy, right? To be like, oh, what's going to pep me up and make me feel better? You're like, I don't have the energy to be a cheerleader for myself right now. And so we created Recovery Love Box so that we can, help be a cheerleader for you when you're having those down times. And, over the last 7.5 years, we've vetted a lot of products, because there's a lot of junk out there too, so it can be exhausting just figuring out, what version of almond butter is good. Snack foods are really hard, especially if you're AIP, or anything along those lines, even just gluten free. It can be really hard to have vetted all that. I have plenty of friends in the sort of health industry and who have keyed me into a lot of really nice products out there. So we've been able to collect all of that, and put them in our boxes as a share. And I think, you've been getting our boxes since we started. You've been a great supporter. Um, we try to make the mix interesting, and stuff that you don't necessarily get for yourself. So it might just be an intro to like, ooh, I really like that thing. Now I can go and order it myself when I'm feeling good and have some in backup. So we are also meaning it for kind of an intellectual introduction to some things that we may not have had the energy or the time to source and vet ourselves.
I think also one of the things that I love about it is it gives you a chance to try new things without a huge commitment to try them, right? And like one of the most recent boxes, you had a brush for doing dry brushing. And, you know, a lot of people may not have ever heard about that, may not have had a place to try it. Do I really want to go buy myself a brush and like figure out how this is supposed to work? Like, is that going to hurt me with fibromyalgia? Like, you know, there's like all those questions, but getting a box delivered to your door with some goodies to try, what have you got to lose? You know, it's really cool. I know one of the things that came in a most recent box too for me, or oh gosh, I can't remember the that was actually like salmon.
Oh yeah. They're, it's from Epic Provisions, and most people know, like, the bison bars or the beef bars, but they do these incredible salmon strips. 3 ingredients: salmon, maple syrup, so there if you are AIP, that, you know, it should actually be okay because it's not, granulated sugar, and some spice.
Mhm. Yeah. And I've seen those at the store, but
But you're like, you're not gonna pick it up, you're like, "I don't know, fish on a stick, they're delicious."
oh my gosh, they were so good.
Super addictive. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really fun way to get to try new things. And you know, when you launched this and I signed up to get my box, it was before we were all stuck at home. So now, oh my gosh, those boxes are even more valuable to me because I'm really not going to the store, right? You know, or if we're ordering groceries using Instacart or something like that, it's like you know, again, and go back to that whole thing of I need this, but sometimes you don't even know exactly what you need, right? Like I'm looking for a good protein snack. Like I'm not going to trust a stranger to like figure out what that means for me.
I know. Or you're looking at the website and you're like, boring, boring, boring. It's a little out there. I don't know. Yeah. So I totally get it. And so one of the fun things for us has been able to just again be that vetting place, you know. And what I like about the boxes is, you know, selfishly they're built in like, what are all the fun products that have been really meaningful for me, right? So there's all kinds of great bath stuff. It's all oriented toward, we've been talking about the food side of it, but all of the boxes have some mix of feel good product too. So we've connected with and partnered with some wonderful companies that do, you know, completely organic, great bath body kind of products. You mentioned the dry brushing that kind of goes along with, you know, what kind of creams do we want to put on our body? What can we actually tolerate? You know, there's this wonderful magnesium mist spray that we have. So we all often spend time, you know, in Epsom salt baths, but we can take that actually in a spray formula, get it on our skin before we go to bed, makes your sleep amazing, with ancient mineral type stuff. So there's a lot of fun product exploration that I think, you know, if we can proactively feel like I'm doing something today to make myself feel better, even just for an hour, you know, I think there's a lot of benefit and sort of feeling like you're taking the bull by the horns with that, right? As opposed to, and once again, I'm laying here feeling like crap today, or it hurts to walk around my house, right? If we can do a few things proactively, there's a lot of, you know, confidence building. I think that happens there too, where we can start to see, like, okay, if I have the right tools at my disposal, and I know you teach this all the time, right? If I have the right tools and the right rhythm and the right, you know, practices, then my life can go from a 3 to a 7, you know, on most days. And so let's make sure that we have the tools that help do that.
Mhm. Yeah, just giving you that little bit of control back over your life, you know? And when you have an illness that sort of has a mind of its own, it's like, I don't know, is it gonna be a good day or bad day? We're just gonna find out. Just giving you a few more tools that help you have that control again. It's so important.
I think it's important. And it's been a really fun project because I've been, as I said, I've been doing this with my daughter. She's 11. She has really great marketing instincts, it turns out. So that's fun. But it's been a fun project for us to, you know, to source stuff and to think about what kinds of mixes we should be putting together and how we want to present ourselves and, you know, who we want to talk to. I just feel like our demographic is, you know, we so often feel put in the, oh, you know, we feel left out, and the people around us kind of put us in this like complainer space. And it's unfortunate because I think the vast majority of us got here often because we were very type A go getter kind of people and maybe pushed too hard until our physicality was like, sorry, you need to take a break and we're going to force you to do that. I feel like that's what happened to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So many of us, or taking care of other people before we took care of ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
So if you're
much.
that kind of personality, and then to feel like you've been pigeonholed into this box of, oh, you're always feeling crappy, you're always cranky, you're always, whatever, that's a yet another emotional, hurdle to deal with. And we just wanted to try and bring some, positivity to that for people who don't often, have the opportunity to get a care package to feel like they're loved. And so that's, I mean, it's why it's named Recovery Love Box for a reason, right? We want to be able to send you a little bit of love from our house, and hopefully brighten your day a little bit.
And it definitely does. It definitely does. It's like getting a care package at camp, you know? It's awesome. So your boxes usually include some kind of, I mean, every box is different, but you usually have some kind of goodies in there, some kind of food, something. You have some kind of self-care, body care, something. You also usually have a recipe.
Yeah. So for the chronic boxes, we have a monthly recipe that actually we also send out to anybody who's buying one of the individual boxes. We have a little product list in each of the boxes. On the back of them is a recipe of things that we love in our house that we've vetted. All of them, almost all of them, are autoimmune protocol, and those that aren't are, very clean, usually easy to make. I'm still a mom with two kids and a husband, and we only have so much energy to cook, so we have a couple of tried and true recipes that we share with people, and then usually we also include just a sort of activity suggestion card, because again, we get into these routines sometimes with ourselves, and I find, and I think you probably do too, that if somebody brings something new to me, that's like a breath of fresh air too, of, oh, this is an easy thing maybe I could try. So in one of our first boxes, we sent out just a little card explaining what yoga nidra is, which is a deep breathing exercise, which is incredibly calming to your nervous system. It's a wonderfully healing thing. And we included a link to a mutual friend of ours website so that you could actually do this with, a guided kind of thing. That's an easy activity that can really be healing that you may not have heard about or haven't thought about in a while. So the activity cards are just a reminder of, oh, right, we can always be trying new things. We don't have to be stuck in our ruts either.
And I think so often it can be hard to come up with those new ideas, especially if you're not working with a coach, if you're trying to do this on your own. Like, how are you going to find out about new things if you like don't know about them?
And
So,
not everybody's an information nerd the way that I am, and like, or you are, right? I mean, some of us are like, I'm just going to Google stuff till I find things that work. But you may not have the energy for that, or you just may not have the disposition for that. So we just try to get, you know, solidly, clearly vetted, useful things in front of people. I'm not going to, we're not going to be sending any kind of crazy wackadoo things.
that's one of the things too, right? Like, even if you are a person who Googles, it's like, okay, but is this something, is like, does this really work? Or is this just
It's just somebody's crazy notion, and I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Luckily, I've had the opportunity with friends and clients and people who very much work in the alternative health environment. And, as I said, I come from a very traditional medical family. So I have not fully jumped completely into the alternative medicine camp. I think there's, room for all of it. But there's a lot of stuff happening from a self-care standpoint outside of normal, your doctor is going to give you a pill suggestion situation that can be very therapeutic. And so we're just, trying to help bring some new information to people too. If they haven't tried something before, then it might be something to check out. It might be useful.
awesome? I think the biggest benefit is just that emotional, oh, yay.
Somebody's thinking
It's
about me.
Right, exactly, and you guys always have little love notes in there too, so it really I mean, like, it really feels like somebody put something special together just for me, and I know you guys do, even if you don't necessarily know all about the person who's receiving it. I mean, I know you well enough to know the love that's going into every box, so
And we do try to get to know our customers too, because I think it's important. So there's always opportunity for feedback in terms of like, here's what I'm dealing with, here's what was really beneficial, here was what was not, and then we can use that to morph and shift, and we created our individual boxes, like I said, specifically with kind of goals is the wrong word, intentions maybe in mind. So like our respite box is all, sleep related aid kind of things. And then we have some that are more bath and body oriented. We have an outdoor love box that has this really great sunscreen and tick oil that we make and all kinds of things like that, because of course Lyme disease is important, important conversation in our house. We wanted to share that with people. So it kind of runs the gamut, in which we wanted to be able to have a range so that anybody coming, whether you want to gift to a friend or a loved one or get for yourself, to be able to really find the sweet spot in terms of, the kinds of stuff you're looking for, kinds of things that you think might help you or someone else, at a variety of price points so you can find the right fit.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So for those of you who are listening, if you have fibromyalgia, if you're interested in ordering a box for yourself, great. For those of you who are listening who don't have, this is an awesome gift because it's put together by somebody who really gets what we live with in chronically ill bodies. And so it gives you a way to give something that's helpful without you having to necessarily know a lot, because that's what Liz is taking care of for
Yeah,
you
that was
here.
the whole goal, because I mean, how nice to not have to be like, "Oh, I don't know if they're eating that today," or "I don't know if they're," it's like everything in there is no sugar, no, and everything should be healthy for anybody, or healthy enough for all of us. So, that was the goal. Hopefully it catalysts the ability to share that love. And I think we've seen that in our sales too, because people really like that. Like, I don't have to think about this. I can just order a box that looks interesting to me and know that the person getting it is going to appreciate it and like everything in there.
Right, right, exactly. So why don't you tell us the ways that people can connect with you if they're interested in checking out more or getting their own box or a box for someone else? And we'll also give a special code for listeners to be able to get a discount too.
Perfect. So we are online at recoverylovebox.com. That has all of the information about how we started and the boxes and all of that good stuff. You can also check us out connect with us on Instagram. The handle is Recovery Love Box. Also Recovery Love Box on Facebook. If you want to come on over and visit the pages, we're always posting ideas, and not necessarily even things that are in our boxes, but products that we know about, and ideas for feeling better and all of that kind of good stuff, because we wanted to be able to create a space to have the conversation too, about what works for you. And we're hearing from a lot of people, which is great, because I mean, I don't know everything. You don't know everything. It's a wonderful way to continue the conversation about what's working for people, because I think that's really all we're looking for. So those are the ways to connect with us. And anybody listening, if you want to use the code, if you do find a box that you love or you want to send to somebody and you want to use the code 15fibro, 15fibro, when you check out, then you can get 15% off your order and you can enjoy that. So that's our gift to you today.
Awesome. And you guys, we will have this in the show notes, all the links, the Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff, as well as the discount code will be in today's show notes. And you'll be able to get that at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/38. This is episode 38. So we'll have all of those ways for you to connect with Liz and get your box. And stay tuned after we finish this interview with Liz, because I just got my this month's box yesterday. And so I'm actually going to do an unboxing and show you all the goodies that came in my box today. So yesterday came yesterday. So Any last minute thoughts or comments or anything you want to share, Liz?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation. I think, it's been surprising how much interest we've had, given the fact that we haven't, we've just been open for a little bit here, and I always appreciate the opportunity to talk about it and to help people who need to have it.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. And it's funny. I know I mentioned this to you, but somebody on one of my Facebook pages said, "Oh gosh, it would be doesn't can't anybody make a subscription box for those of us with chronic illness?" The answer is yes.
Yes, and we've done it. Well, yeah, so, I mean, back to that, we started as a the whole idea wasn't originally as a subscription box, and then the other boxes kind of built out of that because of just that thing. Wouldn't it be great once a month to have this care package show up on my door? What a lovely idea. And so, yeah, if you're wondering where it is, we have it.
Awesome. Thanks again, Liz, and everybody else. Stay tuned. I'll show you my box here in a sec. All right, you guys, are you ready to see my box? So this is the Chronic Love box that I received yesterday as part of my monthly subscription. And for those of you who are listening, I want to first say, if you want to actually watch the unboxing, just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/38 and you will find the video of this episode with the unboxing video at the end. If you're listening, I will also try to describe it to you, but sometimes seeing is better than just listening. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. You can go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/38 and you will find the video. So this right here is my recovery love box, and it just comes in a brown box with a cute little recovery love on the top. When you open it up, you have a love note from Liz and Nia, her daughter, and inside this envelope, you will find a list. For those of you who are watching, you'll find a list of what is in your box, why they've included it. So there's a lot of information there on their own experience with it, things like that. And then there's also on the back, there's also a recipe each month. This month's recipe happens to be stupid, easy, gluten-free, no-bake cookies. So it's an awesome recipe there on the back. It's a different recipe every month. They've had a recipe for artichoke chicken bake, bone broth soup, just a bunch of different kinds of things. With that in the envelope, there's also one of these cards, which is a healing activity. It is a monthly self-care suggestion with instructions on the back on how to, what the activity is and how to do it. This one is all about boosting your lymph and to boost your lymphatic system, get your fluids moving, and it's trying a hot cold bath. There have been things like deep breathing exercises, dry brushing, just a lot of different kinds of things to try, which is what Liz and I were talking about in the interview, where sometimes we all just need a little bit of new ideas to try things. So that is your healing activity card that is inside the envelope. If we set the envelope aside and open up the packing, here's what we've got for this month. And again, every box is different, so this isn't necessarily what you're going to receive. In fact, it probably won't be what you receive, but it'll be something similar. So the first thing in the box are these awesome cozy socks. I cannot wait to try these on. They've got shea butter to help moisturize your feet, and they're so cuddly and soft. These will be perfect for sitting in my sitting in my chair and cuddling up with my cat and reading a book. So those are awesome. Let's see. Ooh, we have Life by Chocolate. We have actually 2 little packages of Life by Chocolate, which is dark chocolate covered coconut chunks. Those are awesome. So can you imagine like somebody sending you chocolate just out of the blue each month? Won't be chocolate every month, but there you go. We also have in here an Epic beef bar. So it's a gluten-free protein bar. This one's beef, apple, bacon. So we'll try that and see. This is the same brand as the salmon ones Liz and I were talking about on the call. We have a couple of those. And, ooh, what's this? Got this cute, ooh, Teddy. Unwrap that. Ah, yes. Earth Matters Apothecary. This is the body balm. This is good stuff. Yeah. So it's a body balm for moisturizing. It also has some aromatherapy qualities. So we have that, and that's what I'm seeing for this box. So what we've got, I believe there's, yeah. So that kind of gives you an idea of the kind of fun things that come in the box. I've also received in my subscription box these awesome chocolate mint patties sweetened with honey. They were freaking awesome. I've also received freeze-dried blueberries, pain cream that's really great that I actually have sitting beside my chair. It's been my new favorite thing. I've been trying since I got it. Just lots of different things. The whole point is that there are lots of fun goodies delivered to your door without you having to do anything, and fun new things for you to try. So that is the box I just got yesterday. And if you're interested in checking out your own, go to recoverylovebox.com. Remember to use that 15 fibro. That's the number 1, the number 5, FIBRO. That is your discount code. So make sure you use that to get your 15% discount on your order, anything you order. And enjoy it, try it, enjoy it. It's been so much fun, so awesome. So I hope you guys do that. Also wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. So next week's call is going to be with Dr. Sheila Whiteman. We are going to be talking about how to stop those bladder leaks. All of those things that you thought you just had to deal with because of fibromyalgia or because you're just getting older don't necessarily have to be something you have to deal with. I'll be sharing my experience working with Dr. Whiteman, and we'll be going to be talking about her book and her the way that she helps people with all of that. I know a lot of listeners have digestive issues, bladder issues, bowel issues, stomach issues. We're going to be talking a lot about that on our next episode. So make sure you see us back here in 2 weeks for episode 39. And then right after that is our next Ask the Coach. So there's still time to send in your questions. I'll be choosing that topic as we get a little bit closer, but that'll be episode 40 will be our next Ask the Coach. And that's sort of like our Dear Abby, our Dear Tami, where you send in your questions and I answer them on the episode. So stay tuned for that as well. I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy, and go check out these chronic love boxes and get your own love and goodies delivered each month like magic. See you guys next time. Bye.
And that wraps up another episode of the Fibromyalgia Podcast. If you're ready to see if working with a fibromyalgia coach can help you feel better faster, visit fibromyalgiapodcast.com, where you can schedule a complimentary consultation to explore your options. During this call, we'll discuss your fibromyalgia journey, what your needs and challenges are, and give you recommendations on how to reach your goals the quickest way possible. Thank you for tuning in today, and join us next time as we explore more ways to help you take back control of your life and health. My music and sound editing were done by Daniel Munkus at Subtle Soup Records. Podcast management and creative copy by Sonia Louise of Performance Podcasting.